that moment when pain is so intense you forget who you are? That's where I was. Lying on our kitchen counter, hot sauce burning through my eyes like someone had set my face on fire from the inside out. I couldn't stop screaming. The sound coming out of me didn't even feel human anymore. My stepmother Sarah was holding my head down. These were the same hands that used to fix my hair when Dad first brought her home. Now they were keeping me pinned while I thrashed and begged. My stepsister Jessica had my wrists locked down, her fancy nails digging into my skin so hard I knew they'd leave marks. And the sauce just kept burning. Carolina Reaper extract. The kind with warning labels all over it. They were pouring it directly into my eyes. Maybe if you go blind you'll stop being so nosy about Jessica's stuff, Sarah said. I could smell her expensive perfume mixed with the chemical fire eating through my face. Through all of it, through my screaming and crying, I heard Jessica laughing. And I knew what that meant. She had her phone out, she was recording this, making content out of my torture. If you're hearing this story, please hit that like button and subscribe. This isn't just about what happened to me, it's about what happens when you finally fight back. Drop a comment below if you've ever felt invisible in your own family. Now let me take you back to where it all started, because you need to understand how a girl who once believed in fairy tales ended up planning the most public destruction of her tormentors. 3 years earlier, I was actually excited when Dad told me he was getting remarried. I was 15, still naive enough to believe that a new mother figure might fill the void Mom left when cancer took her 2 years prior. Sarah seemed perfect at first. She had this warm smile, always knew what to say, touched Dad's arm, in that way that made him light up for the first time since the funeral. Jessica was 17, blonde, beautiful, in that effortless way that made other girls hate themselves. She went to private school, had thousands of Instagram followers, and initially treated me like a cute pet project. She'd let me try on her clothes, teach me makeup techniques, introduce me to her friends as her adorable little sister. I should have seen the cracks forming. The way Sarah's smile never quite reached her eyes when she looked at me. How Jessica's kindness evaporated the moment we were alone. The subtle comments about my clothes being pedestrian, or my interests being boring. But I was so desperate to belong, to have a family again, that I explained away every red flag as my own insecurity. The wedding was spectacular. Dad spared no expense. Sarah wore Vera Wang. Jessica was the maid of honour in a dress that cost more than my entire wardrobe. I was a bridesmaid smiling for photos while already feeling like an outsider at my own father's wedding. The reception was held at the plaza. Everyone said it was the event of the season. Dad was a successful investment banker, the kind of man who worked 70-hour weeks and travelled constantly. Within a month of the wedding, I understood why Sarah had married him. It wasn't love, it was access to an American Express black card and a mansion in Westchester County with 7 bedrooms and a pool. The change happened gradually, like watching someone's true face emerge from behind a mask. Sarah stopped pretending to care about my day once Dad left for his business trips. Jessica's sisterly affection transformed into casual cruelty. They'd have inside jokes at my expense, make plans and forget to include me. Correct my grammar and manners in front of guests like I was raised by wolves. I started doing more chores. It seemed reasonable at first. Everyone should contribute to the household, right? But then my list of responsibilities grew while Jessica did nothing. I'd clean the kitchen after dinner while she painted her nails. I'd do the grocery shopping while she got her hair done. I'd scrub toilets while she live-streamed makeup tutorials to her growing audience. "Emily, you missed a spot on the mirror," Sarah would say, inspecting my work like a drill sergeant. "Do it again, properly this time." When I was 16, I got my first part-time job at a local bookstore. I was proud of my independence, my ability to earn my own money. Sarah saw it as an opportunity. Suddenly I was expected to contribute to household expenses. Not Jessica, who spent thousands a month on clothes and beauty products. Just me. "Your father provides for this family," Sarah explained with that patient tone people use when talking to particularly stupid children. "The least you can do is help out. Unless you want him to think you're ungrateful." The threat was implicit but clear. "Don't tell Dad, he wouldn't believe you anyway. Look at how happy we make him. Look at how perfect everything seems." And she was right, Dad was happy. He'd come home from business trips with gifts for Sarah and Jessica, expensive jewellery and designer bags. I'd get a book or a gift card, an afterthought. When I tried to tell him about the inequality, about how I felt like a servant in my own home, he'd get this uncomfortable look on his face. "Emily, honey, I know blended families are hard, but Sarah's trying her best. Can you try to be more understanding for me?" So I tried. I tried so hard it hollowed me out from the inside. By 17, my life had a rhythm. Schoolwork, chores, sleep, repeat. I had stopped bringing friends home because Jessica would inevitably humiliate me in front of them. I'd stopped participating in extracurriculars because I didn't have time. My grades were slipping because I was too exhausted to study. I was disappearing, erasing myself to make room for their comfort. Jessica's influencer career was taking off. She had launched a natural beauty line that was anything but natural, a skincare company built on lies and filters. Sarah managed her business affairs, funneling money from Dad's accounts to fund production and marketing. They were becoming minor celebrities in the wellness space, giving interviews about authenticity and family values. The irony would have been funny if it wasn't destroying me. Their live streams were performances. They'd set up in the living room camera angles carefully chosen to showcase our mansion's luxury. Sarah would talk about mindful motherhood. Jessica would demonstrate skincare routines. They'd discuss their close bond and their gratitude practices. And I'd be in the background sometimes cleaning or serving them refreshments, an unpaid extra in their reality show. When viewers asked about me, Jessica had a prepared answer. "Oh, that's my little sister Emily. She's shy, prefers to stay behind the scenes. So sweet, though." Sweet, compliant, convenient, that's what I was to them. The physical abuse started small. A hard grip on my arm that left bruises, a push that sent me stumbling into furniture. Sarah slapping me across the face when I talked back by asking if I could have a weekend off from chores. Jessica pulling my hair when I borrowed her laptop without permission, yanking hard enough that I thought my scalp would tear. "Don't be so dramatic," Sarah would say afterward, as if I was overreacting to violence. "I barely touched you. I started wearing long sleeves even in summer. Started avoiding eye contact. Started making myself as small and quiet as possible, hoping that if I took up less space, caused less trouble, they might be kinder." But kindness isn't something people like Sarah and Jessica do. Cruelty is their native language. The incident with the hot sauce happened 2 weeks before my 18th birthday. They were preparing for a major event, a party to launch Jessica's new product line. Sponsors were coming, influencers, media. Everything had to be perfect, which meant I had to be invisible. I had just gotten home from my shift at the bookstore. It was nearly midnight. My feet ached. My eyes burned from stacking books for 8 hours. I wanted nothing more than to take a shower and collapse into bed. But Sarah was waiting in the foyer, arms crossed, expression thunderous. "You're late," she said. "The live stream is in an hour and this floor is filthy. Get on your knees and clean it, now." I looked down at the marble floor. It was spotless. She was inventing problems, creating reasons to humiliate me. But I was too tired to fight. I got the cleaning supplies from the kitchen, returned to the foyer, and knelt down with a sponge and bucket. Sarah set up her phone on a tripod, started the live stream, and continued preparing for the party, while occasionally stepping over me, like I was part of the furniture. Hundreds of people were watching her talk about her daughter's upcoming launch, about natural beauty and sustainable living, while I scrubbed a floor that didn't need cleaning at midnight. Then Jessica came downstairs in her heels, saw me in her path and smiled. That particular smile that meant she had an idea. She was holding her coffee, the expensive oat milk latte she had delivered daily from a boutique cafe in Manhattan. "Oops," she said, and dumped the entire cup onto my back. The liquid was scalding. I gasped, jerking away, and knocked over my bucket of dirty water. It flooded across the marble, ruining the shot. Sarah's perfectly curated live stream now showed her stepdaughter soaked and on her knees in a puddle. Sarah ended the stream immediately. Her face went from camera ready to murder us in seconds. "You clumsy little bitch," she breathed. "Do you have any idea how many people were watching? Do you know how much engagement I just lost?" "It wasn't her fault," I said, finding my voice for once. Jessica dumped her coffee on me deliberately. "Wrong thing to say." Sarah's eyes went cold. "Are you calling my daughter a liar?" "I'm calling her exactly what she is. A spoiled brat who treats me like garbage because you've never taught her that actions have consequences." The slap came so fast I didn't see it coming. My head snapped to the side, ears ringing. But I didn't back down this time. Something in me had finally broken, or maybe finally healed enough to fight back. That's all you've got, a slap, after everything you've put me through. That's your best shot. Jessica laughed, but it was nervous now. Mum, she's losing it. She's actually losing it. Oh, I haven't lost anything, I said, standing up, dirty water dripping from my clothes. I'm finding something, like my self-respect. And a realization that you two are miserable people who get off on making others suffer because you're empty inside. That's when Sarah grabbed me by the hair and dragged me toward the kitchen. I fought, but she was stronger than she looked, fueled by rage and cocaine I later learned she was secretly using. Jessica followed, pulling out her phone to film, because of course she would document this. They threw me against the counter where Sarah had been preparing a special hot sauce for the party, a recipe using Carolina Reaper peppers that she'd been bragging about online. The bottles sat there labelled with warnings, bright red liquid that looked like blood. You want to talk about suffering? Sarah's voice was quiet now, which was somehow more terrifying than her screaming. Let me teach you about real pain. She forced me down onto the kitchen island face up. Jessica grabbed my wrists, pinning them above my head with surprising strength. I bucked and twisted, but Sarah was already at my head, her hands on either side of my face, fingers digging into my temples. Hold her still, Sarah ordered. I got her, Mom, Jessica said, and I could hear the excitement in her voice. This was entertainment to her. This was content. Please, I begged, truly afraid now. Please don't. I'm sorry. I'll be good. I promise I'll be good. Too late for that, Sarah said, and picked up the bottle of hot sauce. I squeezed my eyes shut, but she pried them open with her thumbs, and then there was nothing but fire. Pure chemical fire eating through my eyeballs, burning through every nerve-ending pain so absolute it transcended pain and became something else entirely. My screams were sounds I didn't know I could make. I thrashed so hard I knocked over cutting boards and utensils, sent a wine glass crashing to the floor. Maybe if you go blind, you'll stop snooping around my daughter's things, Sarah was saying. But her voice sounded distant underwater, drowned out by my own agonized shrieking. I don't remember Jessica letting go. I don't remember Sarah walking away. I just remember curling into a ball on the kitchen floor, hands pressed to my burning eyes, feeling liquid running down my face. That might have been tears or blood or the sauce itself. Oh my God, this video is insane, I heard Jessica say through my haze of pain. The girls are going to die when they see this. Look at her thrashing around like a fish. She was showing someone the video. Right then, while I was writhing on the floor in agony, she was sharing footage of my torture like it was a funny meme. Sarah dragged me to my room after that, threw me inside, and locked the door from the outside. I crawled to my bathroom, tried to rinse my eyes, but the water only seemed to make it worse. The pain was indescribable. I couldn't see. Everything was red and black and white-hot agony. I don't know how long I stayed like that, curled on my bathroom floor, sobbing and praying for the pain to stop. Hours, maybe. It could have been days. Time stopped meaning anything. What I do know is this. At some point, the pain receded enough for me to think again. And when I could think, all I felt was rage. Not the hot, explosive kind, the cold, calculating kind, the kind that makes you dangerous. They had tried to break me, and instead they had forged something harder. Someone who would not forget, someone who would not forgive, someone who would make them pay for every moment of suffering they had inflicted. I heard voices outside my door eventually, male voices, one I didn't recognize. Then Ryan's voice, Jessica's on-again, off-again boyfriend, the one she kept around because he was handsome and rich and good for her image. Jessica, where's Emily? I thought she was coming to the party. Oh, she's not feeling well, stomach bug, super contagious, you shouldn't go near her room. That's weird, I thought I heard screaming earlier. She was probably throwing up. Trust me, you don't want to see that. But Ryan didn't leave. I heard him in the hallway later after the party had started, after music and laughter floated up from downstairs where beautiful people were celebrating Jessica's success. He must have gone looking for a bathroom or gotten turned around because I heard him stop outside my door. Then I heard other voices, Jessica and her friends gathered in her room next door, and the sound of video playing from a phone. My screams, my desperate begging, their laughter. Holy shit, Jessica, you actually did that! Mum did most of it, I just held her down. Bitch had it coming, always judging us, acting like she's better than us just because she's his real daughter. That's so savage. You're not going to post it though, right? Are you kidding? This is premium content. I'm going to edit it. Make it look like she attacked me first, like she's mentally unstable. Build sympathy for my brand. Silence from Ryan's spot in the hallway, then footsteps moving away. I found out later that Ryan had a crisis of conscience that night. He'd been dating Jessica for 6 months, had seen glimpses of her cruelty, but explained it away as stress or mood swings. But hearing her laugh about torturing me, hearing her plan to weaponize that footage, something clicked for him. He came back around 2 a.m. after the party had wound down, after Jessica had passed out drunk in her room. He picked the lock on my door, found me still on the bathroom floor, my face swollen and tear stained my eyes nearly shut from inflammation. "Jesus Christ," he whispered, "what did they do to you?" I couldn't speak. My throat was raw from screaming, but I could point to the door to freedom, and that was enough. Ryan helped me down the back stairs through the kitchen, where broken glass still littered the floor, out to his car, parked in the circular driveway. Before we left, I made him wait. I crawled back upstairs, my vision blurred and painful, and I stole 2 things. Sarah's emergency cash from her closet, safe the code she stupidly kept written in her planner. And Jessica's iPad, the one she used for everything, the one that synced to her iCloud account, the one that had every video, every photo, every text message she'd ever sent. "We need to get you to a hospital," Ryan said as we drove through empty streets toward the city. "Your eyes, Emily, you need help." "After we make a stop," I said, my voice rough and broken. "I need you to take me somewhere I can hide this stuff, then the hospital." He took me to his apartment first, a place in Tribeca his parents owned, and Jessica had never been to. I hid the iPad and the money in his spare room. Then we went to the ER at Mount Sinai. The nurses took one look at me and rushed me back to a trauma bay. The doctor was young Indian with kind eyes that went hard when he examined my injuries. "Chemical burns to both corneas," he said, shining a light that felt like needles into my eyes. "Consistent with capsaicin exposure. Very severe. Miss, I need to ask you a difficult question. Did someone do this to you deliberately?" I nodded. "I'm required by law to report this to the police. Do you consent?" I nodded again. They treated me first. Numbing drops that provided blessed relief. Irrigation that went on forever. Antibiotics, bandages. Throughout it all, Ryan sat in the corner of the exam room, his hands clenched into fists, watching me receive medical treatment for torture. The police came while I was still bandaged. 2 detectives, a woman and a man, both looking tired at 4 a.m. but alert when they heard the circumstances. I told them everything. The years of abuse, the escalation, the incident with the hot sauce. Ryan corroborated what he'd heard and seen. "We'll send officers to speak with your parents," the female detective said. "In the meantime, you're a legal adult. You don't have to go back there." "I know," I said. "I'm not going back, not ever." But Sarah got to them first. Somehow she knew I was at the hospital. Maybe she'd woken up and found me gone, put 2 and 2 together. By the time the officers arrived at the mansion at dawn, she had her story straight. She met them at the door in a silk robe, playing the concerned mother. Explained that I had mental health issues, a history of self-harm and attention-seeking behaviour that she'd been trying to get me help for. Said I'd been acting erratically lately, had gotten into the party supplies, and deliberately hurt myself in a cry for attention, then ran away when confronted. She's always been troubled. Sarah told them, tears in her eyes, actual tears she'd probably practiced in the mirror. Since her mother died. I've tried so hard to help her, but she resents me for not being her real mum. She makes these accusations, these horrible lies, and I don't know what to do anymore. The officers looked at her at the mansion, at the evidence of wealth and respectability. They looked at their notes, at the statement from a teenage girl with a history they couldn't verify, and an ex-boyfriend of the daughter making allegations. "We'll need to speak with your daughter," they said. Jessica came downstairs in pyjamas, playing the part of the confused, concerned sister. "Emily's been having problems for a while," she said sadly. "She gets jealous of the attention I get online. Last night she had a breakdown, started screaming about how unfair everything was. When we tried to calm her down, she grabbed the hot sauce we'd been using for cooking and... Jessica's voice broke convincingly. "She hurt herself. We were going to take her to the hospital ourselves, but she ran away. 2 against 1, rich, white, respectable family against a mentally unstable teenager. The math wasn't hard. When the detectives came back to the hospital, I could see the skepticism in their eyes. "Miss Emily," the female detective said carefully, Your stepmother and stepsister have a very different version of events. They're saying you hurt yourself. Of course they are, I said. My voice was flat, emotionless. That's what abusers do. They lie. They manipulate. They use their money and their status to make people believe them. Do you have any proof, any evidence of prior abuse, medical records, photos, witnesses? I had nothing. I'd hidden it all so well, been so desperate to keep the peace, to not rock the boat. I'd covered bruises with makeup, explained away injuries, made excuses. And now that silence was being used as proof of my instability. No, I admitted, I don't have proof yet. Yet the male detective raised an eyebrow. I'll get proof, and when I do, I'll be back. They exchanged glances. Miss, if you need help, there are resources, counsellors, victim advocates. What I need, I said quietly, is a lawyer. Can I get one of those? They gave me a card for legal aid, told me to call if I remembered anything else. Left looking like they thought I was wasting their time. Ryan drove me back to his apartment. I had nothing but the hospital gown I was wearing and a bag of medication. Everything I owned was still at the mansion. My phone, my laptop, my clothes, my mother's jewellery. All of it trapped behind walls I couldn't get through anymore. You can stay here, Ryan said. As long as you need. I'll sleep on the couch. Why are you helping me? I asked. You're Jessica's boyfriend. Ex-boyfriend as of tonight, he said. I might have overlooked a lot of her shitty behaviour, but I'm not dating someone who tortures people for entertainment. I'm not that far gone. For the first time in hours, I felt something other than pain and rage. Gratitude. Hope. The knowledge that I wasn't completely alone. The first week was hell. Not just physically, though my eyes were agony, even with medication. Emotionally. Psychologically. I'd wake up from nightmares where Sarah was holding me down again, where the burning never stopped. I'd have panic attacks in the shower when water touched my face. I couldn't watch TV because bright lights made me nauseous. But I also had time to think, to plan, to plot. Ryan went back to the mansion when Sarah and Jessica were out, broke into my room and rescued what he could. My phone, my laptop, some clothes. Most importantly, my mother's wedding ring that Dad had given me, the one piece of her I had left. I charged Jessica's iPad, started digging through her digital life, and oh, what I found. The videos of my torture were their multiple angles, edited versions with caption ideas. When your stepdaughter needs to learn some manners. Teaching little sis a lesson. She'd been planning to post them as rage bait to drive engagement to use my suffering as content. But there was so much more. Text messages between Sarah and her lover, a personal trainer named Marcus. Discussions of how much longer she'd stay married to Dad, how much she could drain from his accounts before filing for divorce. Screenshots of transactions showing her embezzling from the charity foundation she'd set up as a tax write-off, using donation money to buy designer handbags and fund luxury vacations. Jessica's messages were equally damning. Conversations with bot farms she'd hired to attack competitors. Instructions to her assistant to fake product reviews. Complaints about having to maintain her relatable natural beauty persona when she'd had $10,000 of cosmetic procedures. It was a goldmine of evidence. Proof of fraud, infidelity, abuse, and a level of calculated cruelty that went beyond casual meanness into something almost sociopathic. This is enough to destroy them, Ryan said, looking over my shoulder at the screen. We should give this to the police. Not yet, I said. The police already think I'm crazy. If I come at them with digital evidence, they'll say I faked it, that I'm a hacker, that I'm obsessed. No. We need to expose them in a way they can't spin, in a way that ruins them completely. How? I smiled, though it hurt my healing eyes. The same way they tried to ruin me. Publicly. Permanently. We're going to let them destroy themselves. Over the next weeks, I healed physically. My vision improved, though doctors said I'd have permanent sensitivity and would need glasses. Small price to pay for sight. Emotionally, I hardened. This wasn't about revenge anymore. This was about justice. This was about making sure they could never do to anyone else what they'd done to me. I learned that Sarah and Jessica were planning their biggest event yet. A full charity gala where Sarah would receive an award for Philanthropist of the Year and Jessica would launch her new premium skincare line. It would be held at the Metropolitan Club. 500 guests, press coverage, live streaming to thousands online. It would be perfect. I hired a lawyer with the money I'd stolen from Sarah's safe. paid him to keep my case file active to maintain pressure on the investigation. I filed a civil lawsuit for assault and emotional distress. I knew the criminal case was stalled, but the civil case meant discovery, meant depositions, meant Sarah and Jessica would have to respond. Sarah's lawyer tried to settle immediately, offered me $50,000 to go away and sign an NDA. "Tell them I'll see them in court," I said. Jessica kept trying to contact Ryan, leaving increasingly unhinged messages about how she needed him, how she'd made a mistake, how she loved him. He blocked her on everything. She started showing up at his apartment building, but security kept her out. Dad finally called me a month after the incident. Sarah had apparently kept him in the dark as long as possible, told him I'd run away, that I was having a mental breakdown. But my lawsuit reached him eventually. "Emily, sweetheart, what's going on?" His voice sounded older, tired. "Sarah says you're making terrible accusations, that you hurt yourself, and now you're trying to blame them." "Dad," I said carefully, "did you ask to see me in the hospital? Did you ask to talk to the doctors, to see the medical reports?" Silence. "Did you ask to see the police reports? Did you wonder why Ryan, Jessica's own boyfriend, was the one who took me to the ER and confirmed my statement?" More silence. "Or did you just believe Sarah because it was easier than confronting the fact that you married a monster who tortured your daughter?" "Emily, that's not fair." "Fair?" I laughed, and it sounded bitter even to me. "You want to talk about fair? Fair would have been you protecting me. Fair would have been you noticing how I disappeared in my own home. Fair would have been you giving a damn about anyone other than your trophy wife. I'm still your father. Then act like it. Be at the gala next month. Watch what happens. Then you can decide who you believe." I hung up. I didn't know if he'd come. Honestly, I didn't care anymore. I'd stopped being his daughter the day he chose Sarah's comfort over my safety. The invitations to the gala went out. Sarah and Jessica were everywhere promoting the event, talking about their charity work, their commitment to helping young women build confidence and self-esteem. The irony was so thick I could choke on it. I watched from Ryan's apartment as their social media reach grew. Jessica hit 1 million followers. Sarah was interviewed on morning shows. Their beauty brand announced a partnership with a major retailer. They were ascending, becoming exactly what they'd always wanted to be. Influential, beloved, untouchable. They had no idea what was coming. Ryan helped me hack the gala's AV system 2 days before the event. It wasn't even hard. They'd hired a cheap production company, probably pocketing the difference between what sponsors paid and what they actually spent. The system's password was literally password 123. We uploaded our files to a hidden folder, set up a remote trigger, and tested it 3 times to make sure it would work. Jessica kept texting my old number, not knowing I'd gotten a new phone. The messages were deranged, swinging between threats and pleading. "Come back and I'll forgive you. You're ruining Mum's big night with your lies. Dad's so disappointed in you. I'm going to sue you for everything. Please, Em, I miss you. We were supposed to be sisters." That last one almost made me laugh. Sisters. She had no idea what that word meant. The day of the gala arrived. I spent the morning meditating, centering myself, preparing for what came next. I'd lost 15 pounds from stress. My face was harder, my eyes hidden behind the dark glasses I now wore constantly. I looked like someone who'd been through war. In a way, I had been. I dressed carefully. A white suit that Ryan had helped me pick out, sharply tailored, expensive, in a way that matched the world Sarah and Jessica inhabited. White for rebirth, white for innocence, white as armour. "Are you sure about this?" Ryan asked as he drove us to the venue. "Once you do this, there's no going back. They'll come after you with everything they have." "Let them try," I said. "I'm not the scared little girl they could manipulate anymore. I'm the nightmare they created." The Metropolitan Club was blazing with lights when we arrived. Valets in bow ties, a red carpet lined with photographers, beautiful people in expensive clothes air-kissing and posing. This was Sarah and Jessica's world, the pinnacle of everything they'd worked toward. We didn't go through the front. Ryan had gotten us backstage passes using his connections, claiming to be with the production company. Nobody questioned it. Rich white people can go anywhere if they're confident enough. The ballroom was stunning. Crystal chandeliers, tables decorated with elaborate floral arrangements, a stage with a podium and a massive LED screen behind it. 500 of New York's elite filled the room, sipping champagne and networking. I recognized politicians, celebrities, business moguls, everyone who was anyone. Sarah sat at the head table, radiant in a gold gown, accepting congratulations from people who thought they knew her. Jessica worked the room in a white dress that was basically lingerie, her phone constantly out, streaming snippets of the night to her followers. Bringing you guys along for this magical evening. Dad was there. I spotted him at a table near the front, looking uncomfortable in his tuxedo, a champagne flute untouched in front of him. He kept glancing at Sarah like he was seeing her for the first time, and wasn't sure he liked what he saw. The programme began, speeches about charity and giving back, a video montage of Sarah's philanthropic work that was mostly her attending fancy parties and posing with check displays. Applause, more speeches. Jessica took the stage to talk about her skincare line about authenticity and natural beauty, while the screen behind her showed heavily filtered photos of her face. Then came the main event, the award presentation. Sarah walked to the stage to thunderous applause, the picture of grace and humanitarian kindness. "Thank you all so much," she began, her voice warm and humble. "I'm so honoured to receive this recognition. But really this award belongs to all of us who are committed to making a difference in the lives of young women. As a mother, I know how important it is to nurture, to guide, to show girls that they have value and deserve respect." She kept talking. I listened from the wings, Ryan next to me, both of us waiting for the precise moment. Sarah was building to her big finish, the part where she'd talk about family values and bringing up Jessica to be strong and confident. "And I have to say," Sarah continued, her voice thick with manufactured emotion, "the greatest joy of my life has been being a mother, guiding my daughter Jessica, and yes, even my stepdaughter Emily, who's been going through some difficulties lately. I want her to know that we love her, that there's always a place for her in our family if she's ready to get the help she needs." That was my cue. Ryan pressed the button on his phone. The screen behind Sarah flickered. The slideshow of family photos froze. And then for 500 people and thousands watching the live stream, a different video began to play. Me held down on a kitchen counter screaming, Sarah's hands forcing my eyes open, the bottle of hot sauce, my agony, Jessica's laughter, crystal clear audio, multiple angles from Jessica's phone, no room for interpretation, no way to claim it was fake or taken out of context. The ballroom went silent. You could hear someone's fork hit their plate. Sarah spun around, saw what was playing, and her face went white. She looked out into the crowd, probably trying to figure out who was responsible, and her eyes found me, standing in the side entrance, illuminated by the emergency exit sign, wearing white like an avenging angel. The video kept playing, my screams filled the ballroom. Jessica appeared on screen phone, out filming, laughing. "This is going to get so many views." Sarah tried to speak, tried to explain, but her microphone was still on. Turn it off right now, who's running the AV, you're all fired." But the video transitioned smoothly to the next piece of evidence. Text messages between Sarah and Marcus, her lover. Screenshots of their affair. Discussions of divorce timelines and asset hiding. "Just a few more months and I can take David for everything he's worth." Gasps from the audience. I saw Dad's face from across the room. He looked like he'd been punched. Then came the financial records. Sarah's embezzlement from the charity foundation. 50,000 here, 30,000 there, all diverted to personal accounts. Designer purchases charged to the charity credit card. LOL, these idiots think I actually care about their causes. It's all just money laundering. People were standing now, some were leaving, others were filming on their phones. The social media crowd was having a field day. This was the kind of scandal that ended careers and lives. Next up, Jessica's receipts, the bot farms, the fake reviews, the cosmetic procedures she'd hidden while selling a natural beauty messages to her assistant. "Make sure nobody finds out about the Botox. I need to maintain the relatable girl next door vibe." Jessica tried to run for the stage, probably to tear down the equipment, but security stopped her. She was crying, her perfect makeup running, screaming that this was lies, that someone had hacked her, that it was a conspiracy. The video ended with a title card. "This is what philanthropists and influencers look like behind closed doors. This is what happens when money and vanity matter more than humanity. My name is Emily Hartwell, and these women tried to destroy me because I was in their way." The lights came back on. The ballroom was in chaos. People shouting, filming, arguing. But I stayed focused on Sarah. She stood on stage, utterly frozen, watching her world collapse in real time. I walked down the centre aisle. Every eye in the room tracked me. The girl in white, the ghost they thought they'd buried. I climbed the stage stairs, took the microphone from Sarah's limp hand, looked out at 500 shocked faces. "Good evening," I said, my voice steady despite my racing heart. "You just watched Sarah Davidson and her daughter Jessica torture me, pour chemical irritant directly into my eyes because I talked back. You just saw them laugh about it. You just learned they've been stealing from charity, lying to everyone, building their lives on a foundation of cruelty and fraud." I turned to Sarah. She was crying now, real tears, probably for the first time in years. "You told me if I went blind, I wouldn't be able to see your sins anymore. But guess what? I see everything now. I see exactly who you are, and now everyone else does too." Security was moving toward the stage, but they were too slow. Police officers were pushing through the crowd. I'd made sure they'd be here, had sent them copies of all the evidence that morning, with a note about where and when to show up. "Sarah Davidson," an officer called out, climbing onto the stage with handcuffs ready. "You're under arrest for assault in the first-degree embezzlement and fraud." They read her rights right there on stage in front of everyone she'd tried to impress. Cuffed her hands behind her back while photographers documented every moment. Jessica tried to run, actually bolted for the exit like she could somehow escape this. But more officers were waiting. They caught her in the lobby, tackled her in her designer dress, arrested her for assault and conspiracy. I watched them being led away and felt nothing. No triumph, no satisfaction, just a hollow kind of peace. This was justice, but it wasn't healing. That would come later if it came at all. Dad approached me as police cleared the ballroom. His face was grey-aged, 10 years in 10 minutes. "Emily," he said. "I didn't know. I swear I didn't know it was this bad." "Yes, you did," I said quietly. "Maybe not the details, but you knew something was wrong. You knew I was unhappy. You knew they treated me like a servant. You just didn't want to see it because seeing it would have meant doing something about it. I'm sorry." "I know, but sorry doesn't undo 3 years of abuse. Sorry doesn't give me back my childhood. Sorry doesn't make you a father again." "What can I do? How can I fix this?" I looked at him, this man I'd once worshipped, now just another failure in an expensive suit. "Divorce her, testify at her trial, set up a real charity foundation and actually help abuse victims instead of using them as tax write-offs. And maybe in a few years, if you do all that and actually mean it, we can talk about rebuilding something, but right now, stay away from me." I walked away from him, from the chaos, from the flashing cameras and shouting reporters. Ryan met me at the side exit, his car idling in the alley. "You did it," he said as we drove away. "It's over." "No," I said, watching the city lights blur past. "It's just beginning." The next 6 months were a media circus. Sarah and Jessica's trial became national news. The videos went viral, sparked conversations about family abuse, about influencer culture, about wealth and accountability. Jessica's sponsors dropped her immediately. Her social media accounts were banned. Sarah's charity was investigated, shut down assets, frozen. They both tried to fight the charges, claimed they were victims of a vindictive stepdaughter. But the evidence was overwhelming. Medical reports, video footage, financial records, witness testimony from Ryan and others who'd seen the abuse. Sarah got 7 years in prison. Jessica got 3+ probation. Both were ordered to pay restitution damages that would bankrupt them. Dad did divorce Sarah, did testify, did start a foundation for abuse victims that actually seemed legitimate. He reached out once a month with updates, asked if I wanted to have coffee. I kept saying no, but I didn't block his number. Maybe someday. Jessica tried to rebuild her online presence under different names, but the internet never forgets. Someone always recognized her, exposed her, drove her off whatever platform she tried to invade. Last I heard, she was working at a chain restaurant in Jersey, living in a studio apartment a world away from the mansion and designer clothes. Good. As for me, I took the settlement money from the civil lawsuit and went back to school. Enrolled in law school with a focus on victims' rights. Started a blog about surviving family abuse that attracted thousands of followers. Used my story to help others escape their own nightmares. My eyes healed mostly. I wear glasses, now stylish ones, that make me look smart and serious. The physical scars faded. The emotional ones are still there, probably always will be. But I'm learning to live with them. Learning that survival isn't just about getting away, it's about building something new from the ashes. I still dream about that kitchen sometimes. The feeling of being held down, helpless. But in my dreams now, I fight back sooner. I win faster. My subconscious is rewriting the narrative, giving me the power I didn't have then but do now. Ryan and I stayed close, though not romantically. He was my friend, my ally, the person who proved that not everyone in my life would betray me. He went back to school too, studying social work, wanting to help people the way he'd helped me. I ran into Sarah once, 6 months into her sentence at a courthouse where I was giving victim testimony for someone else's case. She was there in a prison jumpsuit for a hearing thinner and harder, all her polish stripped away. Our eyes met across the hallway. I waited for the fear to come, the panic, the trauma response. Nothing. She was just a woman now, a criminal in chains, all her power, all her cruelty, reduced to nothing. I smiled at her, a small, genuine smile, and watched confusion cross her face. She'd expected me to gloat or scream or break down. Instead, I gave her indifference. That was the moment I knew I'd won. Not at the gala, not in court, but right there, when I could look at my abuser and feel nothing but pity for how small she'd made herself through her choices. I'm sitting in a cafe now, as I tell you this story. A nice place near Columbia, where I'm studying for finals. I'm 21, nearly 22. I have friends, real ones. I have plans for my future. I have peace most days, or at least the pursuit of it. Jessica posted a video last week, a tearful apology on some platform that allows cancelled people, talking about how she's changed, how she's learnt, how she wants forgiveness. The comments were ruthless. You tortured your sister. You're a psychopath. Stay cancelled. I didn't watch the whole thing. I don't need to. Her words don't matter to me anymore. Nothing she says can touch me now. So here's what I learned from all of this, what I want you to take away if you're in a situation, anything like mine was. Your family isn't who you're born to. It's who chooses to love you, protect you, stand by you. Biology doesn't excuse abuse. Money doesn't erase cruelty. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away from people who are supposed to care for you but never did. You don't owe anyone your suffering. You don't owe anyone your silence. You don't owe anyone forgiveness they haven't earned through genuine change and accountability. And if someone tries to break you, tries to pour fire into your eyes to blind you to their sins, remember this. You can survive. You can heal. You can rise from ashes they thought would consume you. You can take everything they tried to use to destroy you and forge it into armour. I did, and if I can, you can too. Stand up for yourself. Document everything. Find your allies. And when the time comes, don't just escape. Make sure they can never hurt anyone else the way they hurt you. That's not revenge. That's justice. That's protecting the next potential victim. That's making the world just a little bit safer. Now, if you're still with me, if this story resonated with you, I want to hear from you. Have you ever had to walk away from toxic family? Have you ever felt invisible in your own home? Drop a comment below. Share your story. Let's build a community of survivors who refuse to stay silent. And please hit that like button, subscribe for more stories of survival and justice, and share this with anyone who needs to hear it. Sometimes knowing you're not alone is the first step toward getting free. Stay strong, stay safe, and remember that you're worth fighting for.